Good day, and welcome to Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands. I'm Troy Deshabert Schuster, State Director of AARP in this territory. And again, it's a great pleasure for us to be with you this week. As we've been having shows over the last couple of weeks, we've been wishing all of you a very happy holiday season. And now we're reaching the climax of that holiday season as we are on the eve of Christmas Eve. Again, from AARP, we hope that all of you have a very safe and happy holiday. Please remember that COVID-19 is still very much among us. We saw all over the United States and here in the Virgin Islands a huge spike in COVID-19 cases right after Thanksgiving as a result of all of the holiday gatherings. I realize that as humans, we all have that need to congregate and to be with each other. We all need that human interpersonal communication, which is quite understandable. Also here in the Virgin Islands, in our very warm environment, we also have a very warm culture. Here in the Virgin Islands, as the rest of the Caribbean, we love to hug and kiss and shake hands and even give those dopses, or the dops as people call it. And please do remember to shake hands, remember social distancing, remember to wear your gloves when needed, make sure to wear your masks when you're around other people, because we want all of you to remain healthy so that you can celebrate many, many, many more Christmases in this wonderful world in which we live. So please, please remember to stay safe during this season. Here in the Virgin Islands, like any other place, we have certain customs and culture, parts of our culture that we celebrate during the holiday season. And one of our customs that we celebrate is our Quadrille music and the wonderful Christmas serenades. So today we have with us a very special guest. We have with us Mr. Kendell, otherwise known as KC, who is part of the Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights, or simply the 10 Sleepless Nights Orchestra. Welcome. How are you
Good
today?
day. I'm fine. Good day, Director Schuster. How are you?
Great, thank you. Troy is fine. Everybody calls me Troy. That's my name. So please be informal as Troy. Thank you. And so I understand that you may be quite fatigued today. I understand that you were out playing music late last night. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, this morning was the first leg of the Christmas Serenade with Stanley WTJX and Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights. So we did our Frederickstead run today, December 23rd, and tomorrow, December 24th, we'll be doing our Christianstead run.
Excellent. And so when you do the Christianstead and the Frederickstead, do you cover pretty much the whole island once you've done those two? Is that the intent? Do you go all the way up east? Do you go all the way far west? How does that work out?
Um, well, for right now, what we do, we kind of before the day of the serenade, we get together, some band members and some WTJX employees and VIPD, and we map out strategically areas and roads um, that we go through. Now again, we can't visit all of the communities on St. Croix, but we definitely try to our best to to go into some of the most populated places to cover a lot of areas, and also depend on the condition on our roads, that plays a major part of it as well.
Yeah, when you talk about the condition of our roads, I mean, I can't imagine that you want all the band members bouncing through potholes in the back of the truck trying to play music. I think that would be quite difficult, huh?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And so before we go further with the Christmas holidays and this great tradition of the Quadrille music and the Christmas serenade, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born, and how did you make your way into 10 Sleepless Nights?
Well, that's a very interesting story. So my family has always been a part of Quelbe and quadrille dancing. My uncle Christopher Eastman, he played with a lot of Quadrille bands here and St. Croix. He played with James C. and the Happy Seven. He played with the Miller Brothers from Grove Place. So when he moved into the housing community where I lived in, I kind of gravitate to the light of Quadrille music, and our children here in the Virgin Islands, when they first hear Quadrille music, they grasp, they really love it, because in 10 says when we visit the schools for social cultural events, we see how they enjoy the Quadrille music at a very early age. So I gravitate to Quadrille music from a very early age, and then I started off getting my formal training from Wayne Bully Peterson in Mali Housing Community. He started a community band, and every Saturday we will go and gather right in front of his house. And he had students, and he will teach us the various Quadrille instruments. And from there, he saw my love and my interest for it, and I started to play with his band. He had a band called Bully and the Musical Kafunas, and I started playing with his band from a very early age, from 10, 11 years old. I traveled with him to the BVI, to St. Thomas for the Folklife Festival back in 91. So I was engaged with Quadrille music, from a very, very early age. And how I got in with Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights, a band member kind of exit, and I always used to go to Quadrille dance, and I always used to sit in with the band when I wasn't dancing that particular set. So, the Dr. Stanley Jacobs, see me as a young individual, and that's one thing I must say about Stanley Jacobs. Any young person that is interested in Quadrille music, he will definitely embrace the notion that he wants you to be a part of what he is doing, and his mission is to make sure that Quadrille music live on, in the Virgin Islands. So he saw that in me, and of course, hired me to come and play with his band. And I've been playing with Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights now for the past 20 years, from the time I was in high school. Now a senior individual, and those years playing with the band is unbelievable. The experience that I have gained as a young man, not just music, but being around experienced men, family oriented, individuals, definitely grasp me and really propel me into the young man that I'm today.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you're well steeped in that tradition of Quadrille music, and that's really, really, really great. And I hope that you will perpetuate that, because it seems like it's diminishing. You mentioned several other bands that were around back in the '60s, '70s, even into the early '80s, and now the king of the hill is really Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights. James E is no longer around. But going back again to James E and the Happy Seven, um, were they there before Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights, or was Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights first? I'm not quite sure of how that part of the history works out. Can you give us some insight there?
Sure. Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights is a kind of a spin-off of the Simmons brothers. The Simmons brothers, the two brothers, Fordy Simmons, and his older brother was the leaders of the Simmons brothers, and Stanley was under their tutelage. So when the Simmons brothers were kind of phasing out, that's when Stanley was always playing in the band. Also, Camille Macedon was a part. King Darby was a part of that band as well, and that band kind of phased out, and then Stanley took the lead, and then the 10 Sleepless Nights started. But Stanley have always been around as a premier Quadrille musician, and also starting the band, because what people really don't know is that the band was playing a couple years before they got the name Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights. So I would definitely say, because I would definitely say that Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights has been around before, or before GMC and the Happy Seven, because GMC and the Happy Seven wasn't really a band. It was it had GMC, and then you had individuals playing along with GMC. So in his three recordings, he always had a mixture of musicians that he would call to put together to do various engagements and recordings.
Now, when it comes to the various songs that are performed, who would you say composed most of those songs? Because that's always a question in my mind. We hear all of these old Quelbe songs, and they're just there, right? But we don't seem to know who composed them. Can you tell us at least a little bit about the composition of some of those very famous popular songs?
Yes, a lot of our songs is with traditional Carousel songs, and Carousel is just singing and drum, and that's what you had before the formula that we know today as Quelbe music came about. A lot of the Carousel songs transformed into Quelbe songs. That's why a lot of our Quelbe songs only have one verse, you know, and that's why a lot of individuals have is given the opportunity to learn them, because there's only one verse repeatedly, over 3-4 stanzas, So, Carousel really is a really ground setting for Quelbe music, and a lot of the Carousel singing back in those times, and even in now, Sidel, Christopher Peterson is who's doing a lot of the carousel singing right now, and it's about news, it's about politics, it's about what's going on in our community at that present time. So a lot of our Quelbe songs also, is a spin-off from the time of Masquerade Jig, and a masquerade jig it was a show, it was a production, it was a reenactment, you know, like that favorite song, Rise Up Matigu, Rise Up. That was a reenactment, La Daniel, I am coming, La Daniel, I am coming, so it was a masquerade, it was a masquerade skit, so our forefathers and our generation before us, was definitely engaged in a lot of theater, you know, but definitely it wasn't called theater. It was called masquerade jig. It was called tea meetings. When Doc James used to have his talent club, he did a lot of those reenactments as well.
I so very much appreciate you bringing up the carousel. When the legislature of the Virgin Islands some years ago passed a bill to make Quelbe our national music, if I may use that term, I was happy because it is a big part of our culture. But at the same time, I was disappointed because I think they missed the mark. Carousel is really our music that predates the Quelbe, as you pointed out. That needs to be preserved. And unfortunately, it's almost dying out. You mentioned one lady who still performs it. I remember the great Leona Watson, who was an amazing carousel performer. I've heard her perform many, many times. Leona Watson of happy memory. And but yet it's slowly dying. And one of these days, carousel will only be on the pages of our history. And I hope that the legislature can somehow find a way to boost that here in the Virgin Islands. And again, I thank you for bringing that up today. And carousel goes way back to the times of slavery, and how the slaves told the stories of the day around the campfire there in the slave village, and like you said, bringing out the news, right? And that's really dying. And then the rhythm of the carousel, to be able to like how the ladies would sashay around as they tell the story, and put this wonderful rhythm to it and so forth, and you can just imagine the people swaying It's an art form that touches my soul, being a Virgin Islander myself. So I hope that somehow we can perpetuate that. And talking about art and culture, tell us about your involvement with VICA, Virgin Island Council on the Arts.
Well, right now, my current position is Special Project Coordinator at the Virgin Island Council on the Arts here at the district of St. Croix, stationed at the Frederick Dorsch Activity Cultural Center in Frederickstead, right next to the Peterson Public Library on Strand Street. Um, I'm 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 here now for the past 2.5 years. I'm really enjoying my role here as the special project coordinator. It gives me a tremendous opportunity to do a lot of community outreach with individual artists or nonprofit cultural organizations, dance organizations, a lot of music entities and music academies interact. And definitely the space down here at the Frederick Dorsch Cultural Center is a tremendous asset to the town of Frederickstead, and it's here and it's definitely being utilized to a full capacity. So I'm I'm just excited to be here at this position. Actually making a difference in the arts. Overall.
That's great. And so I understand then that VICA operates the Dorsch Theater, right? Am I correct in that understanding?
Yes. Yes. Yes,
Right.
here, we kind of a two-sided entity here because we also, manage the day-to-day of the Dorch Theater, and over the years, the Dorch Theater has definitely seen its time of update of upgrade, and Vika is definitely doing its fair share, in keeping the maintenance and keeping the day-to-day operation of the door center up to date and used for the community to use.
That's fantastic because it is a really great asset for
Yes.
Frederickstead and for the whole island, for the whole Virgin Islands. It's really a wonderful cultural venue there at the Dorsch Theater. At the beginning of this show, we talked about you and the 10 Sleepless Nights band having been out all night long serenading. Can you tell us a little bit about that tradition? How did that develop, the Christmas serenade?
Well, here on the island of St. Croix, and I could talk about St. Croix particularly. That tradition of serenade goes back for decades, far, far back when, 'cause we have this tradition here in St. Croix that around the Christmas time, we go and we break bread to family members' house, to neighbor house, individuals that you have close connection to in the community. And Serenade became a part of that tradition before the full Hollywood production as we have it now with the lights and cameras and social media. It was done walking from village to village, from areas to areas, estate to estate, you know, um, giving the individuals, putting them into the Christmas spirit. Because even right now, in this modern time, individuals always say if they don't hear Standing at 10 Sleepless Nights, they don't really feel the gist of the Christmas spirit. So even now, as it was back then, individuals always got into the Christmas spirit when Serenade was upon.
It's a wonderful tradition, and I remember several years ago there were some people complaining about the music in the wee hours of the morning, and I'm so glad that they were not successful in ending that wonderful tradition. We need to keep that alive, and even if you're not at one of the rest stops of the band along the way, and I'm usually part of one of those rest stops, but even if you're not, I mean, just stand up and dance in your room as you hear the band go by, and then go back to sleep. It really brings cheer to the heart. And so I thank you and especially Mr. Stanley Jacobs, Dr. Jacobs honorific, and the 10 Sleepless Nights band for keeping that tradition alive. It's so very important. And so now in the middle of this pandemic, how has that impacted the Serenade?
Well, that's something that was definitely debatable. You know, the Christmas for this serenade could not be possible without the collaboration of the 10 Sleepless Nights and WTJX, our local PVS station, and the executive director there, Miss Tanya Singh. And we start our war room meetings from July, and this July we had numerous meetings because we didn't know where we would have been standing July and December of this year. And as time progressed, we saw that the numbers was either the same or either going up or coming down, and we didn't want to take any chances. So bringing in VIPD into our meetings and having their insight, about keeping the CDC's guidelines in place for the safety of the community, because that was our number one thing. Yes, we want the community to have fun, to be merry, to enjoy our local tradition in Serenade, but we also want you to be safe. So in going with that guidelines that the VIPD and we negotiate back and forth, is to have the community, not follow us, not motorcade behind us, not tramp with us this year, and just stay in the comfort of your own home or your own community while we come through and enjoy the music. Now again, yes, we definitely had some kickback from the community because everybody wants to come out, and everybody who is accustomed to coming out wants to come out and enjoy, the Christmas, the festive time here in the Virgin Islands. But we have to understand that we want you to be safe, and next year we'll definitely come and we'll definitely be on the road back again.
That's great. I'm so happy that your group found a workaround, if you will, a safe workaround to be able to at least provide the music while keeping everybody safe. And of course, we always thank WTJX and the VI Council of the Arts and 10 Sleepless Nights. All of you do such wonderful work together. The one thing that we're really going to miss out is a quadrille, because how do you
Yeah.
do a socially distanced quadrille? That's virtually impossible, right?
Well, not really, because the 10 Sleepless Nights, we've been doing virtual lives every month. We just had one couple weeks ago on December 19th, and that was our fourth virtual live. But we had a quadrille virtual live where we had two bands. We had the Renaissance Band and we had the 10 Sleepless Nights, and we had the quadrille, the local quadrille groups came together and they did quadrille, and to show the community that we can still enjoy our culture and heritage and be safe, because the dancers was required to wear masks, the dancers was required to sanitize before and after every set, so it was a step in the right direction to see how we could get it done. So yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Well, that's great. Okay, I didn't even realize that. I guess I missed that along the way. I need to try to go back and catch some of those videos on Facebook to see the virtual quadrille. So I'm glad you found a workaround for that too. But I certainly miss dancing at St. Gerard's Hall down at St.
Oh
Patrick's Church
yes.
in Frederickstead.
Oh
Yeah, and I
yeah.
remember one time I was a young child, I learned how to dance quadrille from Milton Payne. You remember Milton
Mhm.
Payne? He
Yes,
was a
yes.
great
A pain,
quadrille.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, really incredible gentleman. And so, what else are you all planning on doing this season? What about the crucianrican celebration? Is that going to happen, and what will that look like?
Well, the Kujamika celebration was, that was a big gathering. That was the last event of the Christmas season, and the Kujamrican Trump in Christiansted from Basin Triangle to the market, the vegetable market, and then the big breakfast in the market that used to go till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock the afternoon, still serving crucian breakfast, cannot happen this year because the CDC guidelines, and that would definitely consider as a mass gathering, but thanks to Shamari Haynes and the Division of Festival, they will be having a virtual festival, and also having, for the Three Kings celebration, having a virtual Three Kings celebration live.
That's great. Well, again, another workaround, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So here we're put in a place where we have to find other ways to celebrate the holiday and to celebrate all of our wonderful customs. So I'm glad you all are being creative in that way. Now, as we're winding down our program, what advice do you offer to the younger generation on the importance of holiday traditions, especially here in the Virgin Islands?
Well, one thing we as a community will definitely have to go back and start doing again is teaching our younger generation the meaning of our traditions that they met in place. Growing up in Frederick said, we was taught about, what was the meaning of each tradition, as I was talking to Vivi Everson Flood, and we had a discussion about fusion food around Christmas time. What was on the menu for Christmas Day, what was on the menu for Boxing Day and Old Year's Night and New Year's and Three Kings. We had two different menus at different times. And I feel that this generation don't know the significant meaning to a lot of our traditions and history. And they just take it as regular holidays. So we just have to go back and develop that, where we go back to teach them what it is to be, the Christmas spirit and the crucianrican and whatnot. Even to the crucianrican, and as you know, Troy, that's a major thing here on the island of St. Croix, where we have our Hispanic community meet the Crucian community, and have that merging of both culture. And I mean, you don't want nothing better than a Puerto Rican pasteles, what I mean, around Christmas time, and it flows great with the Crucian culture,
Yes. Yeah, well, thank you so much for those words, and especially coming from you. You've been so steeped in our culture from an early age, and now you are one of the culture bearers, right? In your work with 10 Sleepless Nights and also VI Council on the Arts. So we're coming to the end of the show, and again, Kendell, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for all that you do for us in the community culturally. We wish you many, many more years of success, and we look forward to working with you in the future and speaking with you. And again, happy holidays to you and your family, Kendell.
Same to you, Troy. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.